My teaching strategy is the 3-2-1 method. My teachers used to do this method when I was in school, and I thought it was a really good method because it was quick, straight to the point. It didn't confuse me that much, and it was pretty easy. So yeah, that's the method that I'm going to be explaining to you today. By using this strategy, I will evaluate the child's individual needs and strengths, and I'll consider both their academic and behavioral needs. And I'll do this by using the learning style, which I've already said, which is the 3-2-1 method. Now, later in a few more slides over, I'll be saying what this is specifically, but overall, this specific strategy it helps students to be able to record their own comprehension, and also it helps the teachers be able to learn how to teach the students, because by the students saying how the teaching affected them and what they learned, it really just helps the teachers to be able to tell, if the teaching strategy that she's using is actually working for the students or not. In order to use this teaching strategy, there's really nothing that the students need prior. I mean, they might need a pencil to be able to write down the questions, but personally, I would probably use index cards because those are quick and easy. You don't have to. I can provide them, and I don't have to worry about the students losing them. I'll take up the cards at the end of the class, or I'll take them as soon as they get done. Tell them, flip them over facing down so that I know that they're done writing. And I'll take them myself right at that moment so that they don't take it home and lose it or anything. And so that I can get the information quicker so that the next class I can already know, what I need to change instead of waiting over a prolonged period of time and wasting time. Because what if the learning strategy that I'm using at that moment before 3-2-1, what if it's not working, So, so I would just use those index cards and just look over them and make sure that I'm taking what the students are saying seriously, because some teachers, when I was in school, when I was a student, they didn't really take what I said seriously. Like if I told them that something that they did wasn't really working, they would understand it, I guess, but they really didn't change anything. So I would have to oftentimes teach myself, kind of, and you shouldn't have to do that in school. You should be able to communicate with your teacher, no matter how young or old you are, and it should be like, a give and pull. So I would definitely listen to my students, and that's how I would implement it further. And I would definitely use index cards because those are so easy to throw away and pick up. Okay, so you're probably wondering, how does the 3-2-1 strategy work? Okay, finally, I'm gonna tell you. So let's start at 3. 3 is after the lesson, the students tells you 3 things that they learned from the lesson. Now this one is really good because it allows the students to kind of do like a review, like an end of the class review, because in order for them to say 3 things that they learned, they had to have been listening. So this lets you know if the students were listening too as well. Sometimes you're like, when I was in like middle school or something like that, the teacher would often use the 3-2-1 steps if she felt as though the students weren't paying attention throughout the class. This would let her know if they were paying attention or not, because in order for you to say 3 things, you had to have been listening. So I think that's a good thing too. 2, the student tells you 2 things that they found to be interesting. And this goes right with number 1, which is the 3 in the step, because if they were paying attention, it would be easy to say 2 things they found to be interesting. Unless they thought the class was boring that day, then they probably won't have things they found interesting. But it's always good to just have it on there as a step. And the third one, which is number 1 in the 3-2-1 process, is the students have one question that they got from the lesson that day. And this one is the most important because It can be used to help plan out future lessons for the teachers, and also it can give her feedback, he or she, feedback on how they did. And say the students, they all turn in their index cards, because that's what I would do. I would have them do it on index cards. If they all turn in their index cards and they all have the same type of question, it kind of gives you that push to like change things up. Or if they all have different questions, and then nothing is just like too repetitive, that means that you're doing good. Thing it's not too repetitive. They're not like confused in the class, but it just lets you know what route to take when teaching and planning your lessons, because lesson planning is a big thing.